Well, a good Friday. Thank you for tuning in to the Gardener's Corner program. My name is Rob Hall. The Gardener's Corner program, a Friday feature here on TV Channel 10, located on Charter Communications Channel 191. Also on WKRX 96.7 FM. We are brought to you today by Our Pride Foods, the makers of Our Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip, and T.G. Brooks Company in Timberlake, a landmark since 1936 as they started in business back in 1936. Without further ado, a man that put his rain jacket on and said, rain, sleet, or snow, I got to go do the Gardener's Corner program. Please make welcome all the way from the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service, the big kahuna himself, Mr. Carl Cantalupi. And a good morning, sir.
Good morning, Rob.
Hope that you're doing well, my friend.
You bet, you bet.
Kind of a rainy day today.
Yeah, rain and cold. Wow.
Yes, and I think the weather is supposed to get better tomorrow into Sunday, and I think next week maybe in the lower 80s. So here it is, the first day of May. And so, with that being said, warmer days lie ahead, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Want to make mention of something to all of our viewers and listeners. Next Friday, we're taking the Gardener's Corner program on the road.
All right. Traveling roadshow.
Yes, after many phone calls and many letters, we're finally deciding we're going to take the show on the road. So we're pleased to announce that next Friday, if all goes according to plan, we will be broadcasting the Gardener's Corner program from T.G. Brooks Company in Timberlake. So we're really excited about doing that and looking forward to being there. Now, the only problem is we will not be live on TV as far as the video, but we will be live on the radio and over the TV audio. And I understand that we're maybe going to film the program out at T.G. Brooks Company and then play it back later. Now, Carl, I remember years ago that you and Mr. Don Carroll done a couple of shows from Southern States.
Yes, we did.
Back.
Yeah.
So this will be fun, and so
it will be kind of fun. Yeah.
Yes, and we're not sure if we will be able to have any phone-in questions next week yet or not. Yeah, we was gonna say if you're in the area, we'd love for you to stop by T.G. Brooks Company and say hello. And if you've got a question, we'll pretty much let you ask the question in person on air.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
and
that'd
we'll
be
do
fine.
our best to answer it for you. And what we may do that day is I may answer the questions my way and then let Carl answer them the correct way. But again, next Friday, the Gardener's Corner program from T.G. Brooks Company. Looking forward to that. We are live in the studio today, 336-599-0266. And as Mr. Carl Cantalupi would say, we have not assumed room temperature of yet.
Not yet.
But, yes, it's on a rainy day and probably not able to get out and work in the garden or the yard today. So might would be a good time to get the answer to some of your questions that you may have pertaining to your garden or your landscape. Carl, before we jump right on in to talk about the topic at hand today, as it being May 1st, how much of a percentage and a chance of frost are we still looking at?
We're looking at about 5% right now.
Okay.
And, of course, this definitely would not be an ideal day to go out and plant warm season vegetables because it's cold and rainy. But, if the weekend coming on gets up in warmer temperatures and you're able to get out in the garden to plant, we're certainly, at a point where we're pretty much behind the frost now. So you can definitely get out while when things warm up a bit.
So, anyway, we're going to be talking about tomato plants and other vegetable garden plants. And as I say, if you have a question about something in your landscape or whatever, uh, feel free to give us a call, 336 599 0266. All right, Carl, we'll jump right on in,
All
and
right.
you just kind of lead the way, and I will
Okay.
follow.
All right. Well, the tomato is probably one of the most popular vegetables planted in people's gardens. Originally, it was called the love apple. The fruit was thought to be poisonous and was not recognized as a useful vegetable until the late 1800s. And in fact, in 1820, a man ate a tomato on the steps of the Salem County Courthouse in New Jersey on a dare, because they thought it was poisonous up until that point. But when we grow tomatoes, of course, it's a warm season vegetable, and temperature is an important factor. And tomatoes are particularly sensitive to low and high night temperatures. Daytime temperatures above 90 degrees and night temperatures above 70 degrees result in blossom drop, and this causes reduced flowering and fruit set. And I think a lot of you notice that once temperatures go above 90, then the flowers abort, and we have to wait until the temperatures come down again until we get more flowers to bloom and to set fruit. But night temperature is also a critical factor in setting tomato fruit. The optimal range is between 59 to 68. Any variation above or below this range causes fruit set to be reduced or absent. Low temperatures reduce the production and viability of pollen, and high temperature, especially if accompanied by low humidity and moisture, hinders fruit set through failure in pollination and or fertilization. Tomatoes can be grown in many different soil types, but a deep, loamy soil, well drained and supplied with organic matter and nutrients is most suitable. Tomatoes grow best in soil with a pH between 6.5 to 7.0 in full sun. They respond well to fertilizer applications, especially phosphorus. Excess nitrogen fertilizer can result in plants with extremely vigorous vine growth but little fruit production. And I'm sure many of you have seen that. If you over-fertilize with nitrogen, this throws the plant into a vegetative state and really slows down fruit production. In the absence of a soil test recommendation, you can apply 2 pounds of 10-10-10 fertilizer per 200 square feet of garden area. Till it in the soil about 6 inches deep. Then use a water-soluble fertilizer such as Miracle-Gro or similar material mixed up in a watering can according to the label directions, and then water each plant with 1 cup of that solution after you transplant plants in the garden. Then you can apply about a pound of 10-10-10 per 30 feet of row as a side dress application by putting down a narrow band of fertilizer 6 inches away from the plant stem after the first fruits are about the size of a silver dollar. Then you can side dress again 2 weeks after the first fruit ripens at the same rate and repeat about a month earlier. Now, tomatoes are usually characterized as early, mid-season, or late. Another consideration is whether the tomato variety you choose is determinate or indeterminate in growth habit. And so what do we mean by determinate and indeterminate? Well, a determinate tomato plant grows to a certain height and then stops. They also flower and set all their fruit within a relatively short period of time. This is an advantage if the tomatoes are being grown for canning purposes. Indeterminate tomato plants grow, flower, set fruit over the entire growing season. And these are the standard all-summer tomatoes that most people grow. And they require stakes or cages for best results. If not supported, the plant will occupy excessive garden space, and fruit in contact with the soil may rot. So, again, a determinate variety would be a variety like Celebrity. Sets all its flowers pretty much all at the same time and sets its fruit. Determinate type plants are small and compact. Indeterminate types will flower, set a fruit, flower, set more fruit, and will do this right up until frost. So varieties like Better Boy are indeterminate varieties. So that's the difference between the two.
So a lot of these companies that harvest tomatoes with equipment, they use the. All right, tell me again the indeterminate.
Oh, for processing tomato
Right.
varieties, for canning, the determinate types.
Determinate. Okay.
Because it's a once-over destructive harvest,
Okay.
with machines, and they want to, they can't go back in and do it again. So they use determinate varieties, and then they also use a material called oh boy, I'm getting a senior moment here. It's a material used to enhance ripening of the fruit. It's a synthetic ethylene.
Ethylene.
Yeah. And so this is sprayed on the fruits when they're in most of the fruits are in the pink stage. This triggers the naturally occurring ethylene in the plant, so that they all ripen up pretty evenly at the same time. They can go through and machine harvest.
All right, I want to show off with some knowledge that Carl has taught me,
Okay.
and that knowledge is
not the knowledge you told me about this morning.
um, that knowledge is bananas give off a natural ethylene, and I've tried this experiment, and it works. If you take a tomato that is on the vine, and it's what you would call a breaker tomato, to where
Right.
it's starting to turn a little bit white on the top. If you take a couple of 3 tomatoes and put in a brown paper bag or a white paper bag,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you take a banana and put the banana in the bag and fold the top down on the bag and take a clothespin and kind of seal it off, those tomatoes will turn red and get riper faster with the banana because of the ethylene
That's
is being
correct.
put off.
That's right.
So I had kind of been very, skeptical. I can't say that word very well. Of what
Skeptical,
Carl is-
yeah.
Thank you,
Mhm.
appreciate that. But he made a believer out of me, so to speak. And so, what I'm getting at is, it's a lot of little ideas and suggestions that Carl has knowledge of, and they work real well. They sure do.
Mm-hmm.
But now, Carl, one thing that I need to clarify.
Yeah.
I'm confused when you talk about
All right.
tomatoes. When you were talking and reading, more or less about the tomatoes, one time you would refer to it as a fruit, one time you
No.
referred to it as a vegetable. The other time it was a fruit, the other time it was a vegetable. So if you would clarify to me, is a tomato considered a fruit or a vegetable?
Both. but with the reason.
I didn't say confuse me. I said clarify.
Well, a tomato is a fruit botanically, the botanical makeup of the plant. A fruit is anything that results from ripened ovary tissue. And when we eat a tomato, that's what we're eating, is a ripened ovary. So anything that is fertilized by pollination and fertilization of the female flower that results in a swelling of ovary tissue, that is called a fruit. So a tomato is a fruit, a pepper is a fruit, eggplant is a fruit, a squash is a fruit. Botanically, they're all fruits. But the way we use them, they're classified as vegetables. They're usually used as a side dish in a main, next to a main course of the meal. So that's how we call them vegetables because of their use. But botanically, a peach is just as much a fruit as a squash is when we talk about the botanical makeup of the plant, and that's again that means the fertilization of an ovary and the swelling of the ovary, and that's the part of the plant that we eat. So that's the difference. And In fact, it went all the way back 1892 or 1893. A man was arguing that tomatoes were a fruit, so he should not have to pay a tax or a duty on them being imported into the U.S. So back in 1892 or 1893, the U.S. Congress classified the tomato as a vegetable because of the way we use it. So it's not a fruit as a apple, pear, peach would be that way. But botanically, they're all fruits.
Well, that's interesting. I've heard people say that a tomato is a fruit, but so it's either or.
Yeah, it's if you're looking at as how the plant is classified based on the part of the plant, the edible plant part that we eat, it's a fruit. But if you're going to classify it as how you use it at a meal, it's a vegetable.
Well, that's interesting. I just know I like tomatoes.
Oh yeah.
Well, now, Carl, when a person is thinking about planting tomatoes, they need to be aware that it's many different varieties.
Yep.
You got Marglobe, Homesteads. There's some of your older varieties. Then they've got what they call the heirloom tomatoes.
Yes.
Also, you've got your Big Boy, your Better Boy, your Celebrity. The list goes on and on. You got your German Johnson, your Pink Girls. Then you even have some yellow tomatoes, correct?
Oh, all different kinds. And
yes.
Since you brought up yellow tomatoes, that reminded me of a lot of people think that yellow tomatoes are less acid than red tomatoes, and that really is not true. Several years ago, there's a guy, I think he worked for the USDA, that tested the pH of all different types of tomatoes, all different colors, red, orange, yellow, and he found that the pH really didn't vary that much between them. What is different, usually the yellow tomatoes have higher sugar content than the red-fleshed ones do. So they taste sweeter, but that does not mean that it is less acid.
Right.
So that's a misnomer.
I remember because I had had someone to give us some yellow tomatoes in the past, and I asked you about that, and I said, they say it's lower acid, and
Right.
you said that's not correct. So, but hey, we've got a caller.
All right.
Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardener's Corner program.
Morning, sir.
How you?
Tuned into your program a little bit late, and I know you're giving the lesson on tomatoes, but is it good time or the first of next week a good time to go ahead and put the tomatoes in since it's been so cool?
Yeah, I would wait, of course, if we have a lot of rain, wait for the soil to drain and dry up a little bit. But, again, it's a warm season vegetable. The ideal conditions would be, to wait until the air temperatures warm up. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's calling for like 80s next week. Now,
I got
them,
that's
the
warm.
And all here, but I just didn't know if we put them in the ground and all yet.
Yeah, I'd say go ahead, wait for the warm weather and put them in.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your program.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Thanks for your call. Carl, the caller there brought up a thought in my mind. I had talked to someone earlier this week, and I can't remember who, but they was talking about someone had planted some tomatoes in April and then planted some tomatoes in maybe late part of May, and just the way that it worked out on the season, they said the tomatoes pretty much came in about the same time. So more or less the point that I'm making is, depending on the season, you can have your tomatoes planted early, but if it's not good weather for tomatoes, they're just going to sit there.
Exactly, if it's too cool, yeah.
But when it's ideal growing conditions, that's when they move along pretty well. Hey, we've got another caller.
All right.
Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardener's Corner program.
Yes, I've got a green plant, looks like a first cousin to turnip salad, and it comes up everywhere in my garden, and it's got a long white root on it. I've sprayed it with Roundup trying to kill it, and it wouldn't kill it.
Wow.
Well, okay, it could be something like wild radish, or maybe even chicory, possibly.
But I mean, it doesn't hurt anything.
No.
Okay, well, I've got a good crop of it in one of I have 3 gardens, and it's it looked like in one of them it's where I had turnip salad last year.
Yeah, it's probably one of the seed that was mixed in with what you bought. So it's probably, I would say, kind of a type of a turnip, being that it's white like a turnip root. Yeah.
And my 2 rows of potatoes I got planted, it looks like it's coming up in them potatoes. I don't guess it'll hurt them potatoes either, will it?
No.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. Thank you so much.
All right,
Appreciate
you're
it.
welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate your call.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Carl, he said that Roundup wouldn't kill it.
Well, it's because, especially if you have it's a long taproot, it's probably gonna take a long time for that root to decompose.
Right. Okay.
Probably just pulling them up if you can. Now with this the wet soil, they come up pretty easy.
Okay. We have another caller. Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardeners Corner program.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Teresa, and I got red clay dirt. I just moved. This is my first time ever having to grow something in red dirt. Is it anything special I need to do to the red clay?
Well, just take soil samples. Take several random samples. Go down about 6 inches deep. And mix all the samples together in a clean pail, and then take out enough of that mixed soil to fill up a small Ziploc bag and bring it into the extension office. So you have to see what your soil pH is, so you know that if you add fertilizer, it's going to be utilized by the plants. If you don't do that and, just indiscriminately throw fertilizer, it'll just remain tied up in the soil, unavailable to the plant if the soil pH is too low. So that's the first thing you can do. Red clay is fine because there's a lot of red clay soils in the county that drain well.
We lost our guest.
Oh, well.
Okay, well, go ahead. I'm sure she's listening on the radio.
Yeah. Just because the soil is clay does not mean it's poor for growing plants in. As long as it drains well, the clay is actually a plus because a clay soil will hold more moisture than a sandy soil would. So, but again, soil testing is very important before you do anything.
Yeah, and I was going to say, with a sandy soil, you can work in it a little bit sooner after a rain.
That's right.
To where with the red clay, you have to wait a little bit longer.
Yep.
But, we've got this saying in this part of the area where we have a lot of red clay, and that saying is, you stick to red clay when it's dry, it'll stick to you when it's wet.
That's right.
Hey, let's get a word on for one of our fine supporting sponsors. We'll take a trip down on North Main Street and stop in at Our Pride Foods, makers of Our Pride premium pimento cheese spread and dip. Whether you're having it as a meal or a snack, you can't go wrong with Our Pride premium pimento cheese. Our Pride Foods, makers of Our Pride premium pimento cheese spread and dip, is made in Roxborough. Whether you're having a family gathering or would just like a snack for yourself, be sure to keep plenty of Our Pride premium pimento cheese spread and dip on hand. Goodness grows in North Carolina. Our Pride Foods, makers of Our Pride premium pimento cheese, is available at T.G. Brooks Company, Hurdle Mills Market and Butcher Shop, North Main IGA, Twins Meat Market, Just Save, and Food Line stores. Also, if you're in Uptown Roxborough and get the hankering for some Our Pride premium pimento cheese, you can enjoy it at Cole's Pharmacy and Triss's Espresso. That's Our Pride Foods, makers of Our Pride premium pimento cheese spread and dip. Try the jalapeno added for extra flavor. Goodness Grows in North Carolina, and Our Pride Foods, makers of Our Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip, is located in Roxborough. All righty, here we are back on the Gardener's Corner program. We've got another phone caller.
Okay.
Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardener's Corner program.
Yes, how you doing this morning, Rob?
I'm doing well. I hope you are.
Yes, I am. I've got a question for you and Carl.
Okay.
Can you tell me what makes strawberries sweet?
Yeah, the sugar you put on them.
Very good. Very good. I couldn't have done better myself.
Are you going to stop by T.G. Brooks and see us in person next week?
Pardon?
Well, I hope so. But that's a smart, aleck answer, but I really don't know what causes strawberries to become sweet.
Well, as the strawberry ripens on the plant, of course, the strawberries have several different acids and flavor components that change as they ripen, and as the fruits ripen, they get sweeter. They increase in sugar content. So, but that's a very good question because, another question that people ask, will strawberries get any sweeter after you pick them? The answer is no. They're just as good. You know, they'll be as good right at the time you pick them. Now they might soften up, but they're not. They won't get any sweeter. So the best time to pick them is right at their peak of perfection. So, if you see strawberries and if you're at a grower that has picked your own, don't pick ones that are just pink in color. Try to pick the ones that are closer to the red color because you know that they're going to be the best.
Right.
But yeah, that's a good question, Tony. And I love strawberries, but I have, had strawberries from different growers, and every now and again you'll get one that wasn't very sweet, so you just don't know if it really hadn't, matured or whatever like that,
And I was going to say, and the plastic culture varieties that we have, one for example, the Chandler variety, that is best when it's picked dead ripe. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about that one. If you pick it when it's not ripe, it's not going to taste good.
Well, all right. Well, I appreciate it.
Hey, appreciate it, and hope to see you next Friday.
Okay.
Thank you. Now we'll see. Bye bye. Anyway, but yes, it's getting to be strawberry season, and I'm thinking that our strawberry season around here might be a little bit later.
Due to the cold weather.
Here, due to the cold weather and the rain. And I've talked to a couple of the strawberry producers, and they have told me that wet weather is not really the most ideal.
No, because
for the strawberries.
No, because that promotes fungus diseases too. So,
But anyway, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, the strawberry growers around here will have plenty of supplies to go around for everyone.
All right.
We are live in the studio again, 336-599-0266. And if you're just joining in, we're taking the show on the road next week. We're going to be broadcasting live on the Gardener's Corner program from T.G. Brooks Company, located down in Timberlake. And we will not be able to, per se, take questions over the phone, but if you happen to be in the area, please stop by T.G. Brooks Company and say hello. And if you got a question, we'll let you ask your question, and we'll do our best to get you an answer. We will not be more or less a video on TV next week, but I think we're going to film the program out there and then play it back later on TV. But you will be able to listen over the TV on Channel 10 Charter Communications 191 and also on the radio. So we're just kind of looking forward to it. That'll be something new. I don't think we've ever been out to T.G. Brooks for the Gardens Corner program. Carl had said that they went to Southern States a few years back. So kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, me too.
All right, what else you got, Mr. Cantalupe?
All right, well, being that we were talking about tomatoes, we'll go through a few more things here. And when you, if you buy tomatoes from a garden center, one important thing to do is to choose varieties that have disease resistance. Many variety names are followed by one or more letters indicating resistance to verticillium wilt, or V, fusarium wilt, F, or nematodes. And verticillium and fusarium are soil fungus diseases that have been, and there are several varieties that have been bred to resist these two fungi. So if you can get varieties that have a V and F next to the name of the variety, they'll be resistant to these soil fungi, and of course N next to the variety means that they are resistant to nematodes, which are tiny microscopic soil worms that feed on plant roots. Disease resistance can be very important, especially if you've experienced problems with these diseases in the past. Okay.
We got a caller. Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardens Corner program.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm great. I have a question. I think they're called mock maple shrubs, but I was wanting to know the proper way to prune those. It's sort of a chartreuse color, and I don't want it in the ball shape, but I want to know, how to go in and prune to keep it sort of free-flowing look.
What kind of plant is this?
I think it's a mock maple shrub.
Okay, I've never heard of a mock maple shrub.
M-O-P, I think.
Oh gosh, that's a new one on me.
Okay, I will check that out and call back if I find a different name.
Okay, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. All right, bye-bye. And she was saying a mock maple shrub.
Yeah, I don't know what that could be.
Well, it's a lot of different varieties and
There's
things like that.
a lot of common names that people use, but
one of the people behind the scenes here at the radio station just notified me that what we're hoping to do next week at T.G. Brooks Company is maybe have folks to call the store phone number out at T.G. Brooks, and they can ask the question then, and I guess they'll just kind of jot it down and pass the question along to us, and we'll answer it. So I guess it'll take a little bit of time to get all the things worked out and bugs worked out. But it'll be something fun to do. Anyway, and I tell you what, Carl, would really be nice of you. If you would bring your charcoal grill, okay, ahead of time, and go ahead and get the charcoal and all going pretty good, then we could maybe get you to go in and buy several hand-cut ribeyes from T.G. Brooks Company. And then what we could do is maybe we could get one of the friendly employees of T.G. Brooks Company to put those steaks on the grill and have them ready for you and I about the time we finish the show up.
That would be nice, yes.
Yes, so any kind of charcoal you want to use, it's entirely up to you.
Okay.
You paying for the steaks, you decide to have them cut ever how thick you want them, but I like mine cut at least 1 inch thick, so but anyway, but that's your call.
All right.
If you want to get them cut 1.5 inches thick, I'll eat it that way. It's entirely up to you. So.
You're not particular, no.
All right, continue on, my friend.
All right. Okay, well, some of the common varieties, just to let you know which are resistant to verticillium and fusarium and nematodes, would include the Better Boy variety. That's an indeterminate type. It's resistant to verticillium and fusarium wilts. Pick Red is also, but Pick Red is a determinate type. We mentioned that Celebrity before is a determinate type. It does have VFN resistance to it. Some other ones that are later, Beefmaster, Supersonic, Ramapo, Mountain Pride, which is a a release from Dr. Randy Gardner at the Mountain Hort Crop Station in Fletcher. It's a VNF, has VNF resistance. Let's see, Parks Whopper is another good one. Then if you want tomatoes for canning, Heinz 1350, Roma, which is a paste-type tomato, Campbell's 1327 has been around for a long time. These are all resistant to Verticillium fusarium wilts. Orange varieties, Jubilee, Sunray, Lemon Boy, Golden Boy, Mountain Gold is another Randy Gardner release as well. Then we have varieties that produce a large vine with small fruit, cherry tomatoes. You have a whole lot of different varieties. Make sure that they are disease resistant as well. Most of them are. So that this gives you some examples for the varieties to select from.
Well, Carl, have you ever tried any sun-dried tomatoes?
Oh, I think I have once. Mm-hmm.
I have seen on the program a senior moment, as you would say, maybe American Heartland. Is that the name of it?
That could be.
And they talk about, sometimes on that sun-dried tomatoes. I've never tried any before. And, I've had dried apples and things, but I guess maybe people don't use as much sun-dried tomatoes and things around this area. But tomatoes has many different uses, whether you're having a tomato sandwich, a slice of tomato on a hamburger, in spaghetti sauce, chow chow, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, definitely all different uses for them. Well, when we plant tomato plants, we should select stocky transplants. In other words, a stocky transplant is about as tall as it is wide. So these are the best transplants that will take off in the garden. Do not buy plants that are tall and spindly, that are in small cells that have a root ball that just has wound around the container.
Explain what you mean when you say about as tall and wide.
Okay, if you have a tomato transplant, if you take the measurement, if it's 4 inches tall, if you then measure, how wide it is, the height should equal the width.
Okay, I got you. Well, that's pretty interesting. It sure is. And but Carl, I think you're right. I think if you take a little bit of time when selecting your vegetable garden plants and things, you can get a better start, so to speak.
That's right.
Hey,
we got somebody
caller.
else. Okay.
Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardener's Corner program.
Good morning. I found the name of the shrub, the proper name. It's the gold mop cypress. I wondered if I could find out how to prune that.
Okay, and all right. So if it's a cypress, I would say that that now would be a good time to prune them, or because they'll respond back with new growth. And it's not a flowering shrub, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So go ahead and prune that back now. You'll have plenty of time for regrowth, and it should do fine.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Hey,
Thanks for
appreciate
calling.
that. Oh, well, it's good that she found out that shrub is a part of the cypress family.
That's right.
So anyway, all right, Carl.
Let's see. When we transplant tomatoes in the garden, set the transplant in the planting hole and cover the stem so that only 2 or 3 sets of true leaves are exposed. True leaves are the leaves that come out after the seed germinates. After a tomato seed germinates, the first pair of leaves are called the seed leaves, and then the other leaves, the true leaves, come out are ones that actually look like the true tomato leaves. So we only want 2 or 3 sets of leaves exposed. Horizontal planting of tomato plants, especially if you have leggy ones, is an effective way to make plants stronger. Roots will form along the buried portion of the stem, giving better growth and less chance of plant injury from a weak stem. So you can plant the plant deeper, and bury the stem, make sure that you don't twist it, Or another way is just to go ahead and bury the roots, lie the plant on its side, lie the stem on its side, and cover the roots up that way, and then just have an inch or two of the top of the plant sticking out. You can also do it that way. Then how do we grow plants? Well, we can stake them, we can trellis them, or cage them. Staking requires more initial work, but later care is easier than if you have sprawling plants on the ground. And since they're off the ground, fruit rots are reduced. Spraying fungicides is easier and may be required less often, and harvesting is much less work. If you're going to stake plants, you can space them 18 to 24 inches apart in rows 3 feet apart. Use wooden stakes 6 feet long and 1.5 to 2 inches wide. Drive them about 1 foot into the soil, about 4 to 6 inches away from the plant soon after you transplant them. And then you can attach heavy twine or strips of cloth to the stakes every 10 inches. As the plants grow, pull the stems toward the stakes and tie loosely. Now, if we're staking tomatoes, we're going to prune them to 2 main stems. And this might be easier for people to see while I'm describing this. At the junction of each leaf and the first main stem, a new shoot will develop called a sucker. Prune off all the suckers by pinching them off with your fingers as the plant grows until you see the first flower cluster forming. At that time, leave the sucker that is directly below the first flower cluster to become the second main stem. Staking and pruning the plants creates stress, causing more blossom end rot to occur than on non-staked plants. That's just one of the things you have to remember. But when you're looking at this diagram, for those of you that are watching on TV, you can see the first flower cluster, and then the first sucker that forms below the first flower cluster, you let that one become another main stem. So and then any suckers that appear below this one, you prune out. So this is how you prune a tomato plant if you're going to stake them. Okay. Now the other method is to grow them in a cage. Cage growing allows the tomato plant to grow in its natural manner, but keeps the fruit and leaves off the ground. Using wire cages requires a large initial expense and a large storage area, but many gardeners feel that the freedom from pruning and staking is well worth it. The cages will last many years if it's made out of concrete reinforcing wire with a 6-inch mesh. This also allows for easy harvest of the fruit. The stems are simply tucked back inside the cage as they grow. Wire cage tomatoes develop a heavy foliage cover, reducing sun scald on fruits and giving more leeway when bottom leaves become blighted and have to be removed. Let's see here.
Now, Carl, I may be jumping ahead. It
That's
seems
okay.
to me that you had told me in an experiment that you had done, a caged tomato, one caged tomato will produce the amount of 2 staked tomatoes.
That's correct. That's correct. And that might be a little bit hard to believe, but that's exactly what I found. The cage plants will produce more fruits per plant than a staked plant will, and also you can grow 1/2 the number of plants and get the same yield as you would with twice the amount of staked plants.
So if you don't have quite as much garden area, if you plant your tomatoes and put them in a cage, you will not have to have as many plants to get the amount of tomatoes that you would like to have.
Right, and you see in this photo here, this is a tomato plant growing in a wire cage. Here it is when it's a little bit earlier in the life of the planting. But when you grow them in a cage, you don't do any pruning. You don't pinch off any suckers. You let the plant grow however it wants to. You put less stress on the plant, and you don't have fruit rots on the ground. You get plenty of air circulation through that wire, and it's really nice because you don't have to worry about if we get a hurricane or other storms during the summertime. The cages stay put. they don't fall down as if you would stake them. And here's another shot of what the wire cage looks like. And basically, what you do is you roll out a piece of concrete reinforcing wire, a 4-foot piece, and you cut it off. Then you go up. The width of the cage is 5 feet tall. So if you go halfway up 2.5 feet, you cut the center wire out, and then you have 2.5 foot tall cages that have 6 inches of exposed wire that you can push down into the soil, and it adheres real well. Now again, if you're making this type of a cage that stands only 2.5 feet tall, you're wanting to plant determinate type tomatoes, ones that don't get very big, such as the Celebrity would be a good one. If you want to plant Better Boy, then do not go and cut the middle wire out. Just leave the entire 5 foot tall piece, and then put that in the ground. And you might want to weave a wooden stake in between the wire mesh just for more support. Varieties like Better Boy would be better in a 5 foot tall cage than a 2.5 foot tall cage.
Okay. Hey, we need to squeeze a word on for T.G. Brooks Company. We're getting close to the end of today's program, and again, we will be live at T.G. Brooks Company if everything goes as planned for the Gardener's Corner program next week. So let's take a trip down to T.G. Brooks Company.
So glad it's May and see the beautiful weather here in Person County. And May is full-time lawn and garden season, the time to have fun and beautify. T.G. Brooks Company has your plants too. Tomato plants, lots and lots of them at T.G. Brooks. Squash, cucumber, okra, cantaloupe, watermelon, lettuce, pepper, all kinds of pepper, eggplant, cabbage, broccoli, and also your herbs like basil, chives, thyme, oregano, dill, cilantro, peppermint. They have lavender. They have your garden flowers. Some are vinca, aster, marigold, celosia, petunias, zinnias, salvia, petunias, silver dust, violets, marigolds. Get your fresh garden seed to plant, and fresh grass seed, and fertilizer and lime for your lawn. If you need mulch, man, do they have the mulch, even the triple ground mulch. Do you need straw, pine needles? How about potting soil, planting soil, or cow manure? They have spreaders, they have aerators for sale or rent. T.G. Brooks serves the homeowner and the commercial landscaper. T.G. Brooks Company handles everybody with the same courteous service. They can arrange delivery, or you can pull in with your pickup truck, trailer. They'll load it up for you. The bagged products, they will load up in your car or van. It's exciting for May, and May to be here in the full-time growing season. When the day is done, nothing will top it off like a hand-cut ribeye steak, cooked to your liking and your family's satisfaction. Join the crowds rushing to 411 Helena Maria Road in Timberlake. Phone them at 364-2428. T.G. Brooks proudly has served the homeowner, farmer, and those in construction since way back in 1936. They welcome people from all over Person County and Rougemont, northern Durham, and of course all of southern Person County.
Here we are back on the Gardener's Corner program, and Carl, today has been one of those situations to where time has just flew by.
Yeah, what they say, time flies like an arrow, and fruit flies like a banana.
And bananas make a great pair of slippers.
That's right.
Any parting remarks?
No, just wait for warm weather, get the tomatoes out, and get started. Wait till the rains pass, and no sense in trying to mud plants in if the conditions aren't well.
Yeah, we had a little late on our drum roll over there. Yeah,
bada boom.
Yeah, Anyway, but we do appreciate you all tuning into the Gardener's Corner program again. Next Friday, come see us if you get the opportunity at T.G. Brooks Company for the Gardener's Corner program. Looking forward to it, and hopefully it'll be a nice sunshiny day.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
And to be something new and something different. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate the sponsors of the Gardener's Corner program. Our Pride Foods, makers of Our Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip, and T.G. Brooks Company. Thanks goes out to Mr. Carl Cantalupi.
Thank you, Rob.
Of the
as
North
always.
Carolina Cooperative Extension Service. Appreciate him sharing his knowledge with us, and want to wish you and yours a happy and safe weekend. And thanks for tuning in to the Gardener's Corner program.